Hello and welcome to For Nerds by Nerds. I'm Nerdarchist Dave, and tonight I'm joined by
Nerdarchist Ted. How are you doing this fine and lovely evening, sir?
So Zoo Mafia. What is a wasteland in Zoo Mafia? It's not what you're thinking, right? The wasteland in Zoo Mafia is actually filled of daylight and people.
Yeah, it's really the concept of wasteland is the thing that is scary, that is world altering, life changing terror. And for the core concept of Zoo Mafia of go wild, do crime, and don't let the humans catch you, it's because the humans can't know of the secret world. Now, the way we're currently running on my Tuesday night game, we've removed the human element from this. So like there's other things that need to replace that. But for its core concept, the humans are everywhere. They have the ability to be anywhere at any point in time, even if it's night, even if the humans have gone home. You know, Larry, the guy who takes care of the apes, could still decide to come back in because, Bobo is sick and he wants to check on him in the middle of the night because he had a bad dream. you know, you could round the corner and boom, he could be there. What do you do? So if you interact with humans in a way that lets them know what's going on, it is boom, instant. Half your markers are gone. That is severe consequences for the game and can, put you in danger of being ousted like that.
Yeah. So, and we've done. I have run at least one session where you guys had to infiltrate an elementary school during the day and nab a inchworm, lives in the apple on the teacher's desk, who is actually an informant for the feds. So in that case, it's like you're trying to figure out, how do you navigate this world? In this case, in Zoo Mafia, this hostile world is just normal people going about their day. Because one, like Ted said, you can't let them know that you're not just a regular animal. So that eliminates a lot of the things that you can do. Like when we play Zoo Mafia, the animals, they're using crowbars, shotguns, sledgehammers, baseball
Dynamite.
bats wrapped in barbed wire, dynamite, cocktails, Tommy guns, right? And that's just not going to fly during the day. So now you have to figure out other ways to interact with the world and accomplish your goals. So to me, one of the fun things is to plan at least one session where you have this scenario where the players have to figure out how to kind of go undercover as their animals. And I think it's happened a couple times. There was a a homeless person encampment that some of the animals were hiding in. They had to try and get in there and not get noticed. That had mixed and interesting results. And so I think those are the two that I can think of off the top of my head where I've done that so far. But I think like that's definitely something to explore. And now you're actually in the process of running your second Zoo Mafia game. It just doesn't really apply to it because you're doing things a little differently. But what are some ideas for, both from the player side and the zookeeper side for going into these hostile environments?
So as anytime you're dealing with, crime and adventure, really from any perspective, an element that you might not always get to choose is the time, your time frame. So if you're looking to try and add in a mission to deal with the human element, it's like, all right, well, this is going to have to happen during the day. And that should worry your players a little bit and concern the characters probably a whole lot because they know that they're in a different situation. They're not going to be set to just be able to fall back on their usual things. So it means you need to play both as a player and a character a little bit smarter. It means that, that word marker, might have to get thrown out there like, okay, well, this check is make it or break it. Well, if I lose, I'm going to lose half my markers. So I'm just going to spend the marker to not lose, to not fail. So you have to be prepared as a player to spend that resource at those crucial moments so that you're not setting yourself up in a bad way.
So the other kind of like pitfall too is if you're on a day mission, right, whether there's humans involved or not, that means your enclosure is empty. You're not where you're supposed to be. What are the chances that zookeepers come hunting for you and looking and try to figure out where you are? Or, if if they don't see you in your enclosure, maybe they search your enclosure, and do they find something strange there, like a stashed barrel of peanut rum, your spare revolver, human clothes for that matter.
That can greatly, change the thing. Now, we as players, like we've left a lot of that stuff untouched because it's like, all right, well, a lot of Zoo Mafia as we played has been hand waving. How do you use guns or how do you put on clothes? Like, we don't care about those things. But, we know that there's the secret world that happens at night. So, where is all of that stuff stashed? Do you have like an extra room that's really truly hidden that the zookeepers don't really know how to get to it? Or is it just always hidden well enough that you keep it covered, but with enough exposure, it could be uncovered? Like those are important things to really look at because it can, lead down a rabbit hole. Now, as a zookeeper, if they don't see you interacting with the stuff, they might be perplexed, but I wouldn't take markers away from you, but it would set up a story for you're gonna now be a little bit more observed and you need to be more cautious because stuff has been found in your enclosure.
Do you have a zookeeper that's constantly snooping around now because they found something weird in your enclosure?
So it could very well be, oh well, Larry found it, but it's really all Bob's stuff, and Bob is trying to, keep this away from wherever. And then maybe it's a conversation that happens between Larry and Bob. As the animal, you can't really set that up. So it's like, well, how do you make do? How do you plant evidence? Like, and it becomes harder and harder because it would mean you have to do even more during the day, or be really sneaky, get out at night and know where Larry and Bob are, which means you might have to interact in areas near them, which only heightens. It just keeps building. If you really want to get into this, so like that could literally be like the premise for an entire campaign, a backdrop, if you will, of a human is starting to notice, or the humans are starting to notice. So you could really be like, I'm going to ratchet up the human factor on this particular campaign, but you still have to do all the other stuff too.
Yeah, and also it brings up the question too, will some of the other less scrupulous animals try and weaponize the humans, right? I feel like that's considered like the nuclear option. That would be a little bit more rare. But if it does come up in the game and it happens, it could have dire consequences, and the players will really have to think fast on their feet, try and figure out how to avoid that and to deal with the person that's willing to narc to the humans.
Yeah, to take a character like Machine Gun Otto, who is willing to do all kinds of lengths. He could easily be like, I'm going to take one of my lackeys that's human enough, put him in a trench coat, and have him go deliver a message. We've, through the games that we've played, we've put our names on a list. So therefore, like clearly we know enough speech or writing to be able to, kind of get by in their world. So who's to say that you couldn't drop off a note of like, hey, down by, the pigsty, go check out those warthogs or go whatever, whatever place that you want to point the humans, you can fire them like a gun and unleash utter chaos.
Yeah. Well, and also too, the thing to think about from the game stance and the world is how do the other animals perceive that, right? That act. Like, how bad is it if you were to do that, get caught by the other, other mobsters or even regular animals for that matter? Like, is it,
Well, I would, go ahead.
is it against the law, right? Because we have the flat paws, right? And the claw patrol, which are kind of like the local law enforcement and federal law enforcement of the animal world. Are actually crimes that you would be dealt with for?
I mean, it depends upon, what you have set up at your zoo, but I would say absolutely to bring, humans the knowledge of like even leading them to the animal world would be, would have to be a high crime. And, that's why whoever's willing to risk it would have to be, the shadiest of folks, and, as many, beings of shelter as possible away from not getting caught, just because it would have to be, probably worse than, major powers declaring war on each other, because it would kind of like, it would be as if, aliens have been in our world for decades, like Men in Black, and someone making it completely public. Oh yeah, aliens are here. It would cause mass panic. It would cause, chaos in the streets if they provide definitive proof. Sure, there's people that wouldn't believe, but like, the animals are going to go crazy if all of a sudden humans are, nosing in on the animal life that happens at night. Like, they wouldn't know what to do. Like, their world would be changed, and people aren't prepared to have their world greatly changed.
Yeah. So in Zoo Mafia, the desolate wastelands are humans, essentially. So until next time, stay nerdy.